your benefit. Okay, so I'm going to be drawing a self-portrait here. I'm going to use full value. So that means that light, it goes all the way from the lightest light to the darkest dark. Okay. I'm going to just use both a pencil and a China marker here because they have some nice dark values. Okay. All right, so you guys remember SP1, right? Sorry, I know it's a little bit hard to see because my camera is not always, like, it's not picking up all of the contrast, but I'm gonna just gently pencil in some of the marks and then I will just start working on it with my darker China marker here, which is easier for you guys to see.
Miss Park, how large is it supposed to be?
I just said like a sketchbook page and no smaller than 5 by 7.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because then if it's like too small, it'll just be too small. Okay. So this is a very quick drawing, guys. Obviously, I'm not spending like too much time. I'm just doing this for a demo, so no judgments here. So maybe you guys can see it. All right, so I'm definitely going in and starting to shade it in. So sometimes this is a secret that I think helps, like when you don't know what your value is supposed to be, because you're so stuck on like what the drawing is supposed to be of, I sometimes just squint my eyes. And when I squint my eyes, it helps me to blur out all of like the facial features and I just can concentrate on, I can just concentrate on the values that I see there. Oh, my pencil. Hold on, guys. Oh, I finally used my pencil case. My pencil sharpener is stuck on my desk. Okay, I'm rushing, guys, because I don't want the class to end. All right, so let's say my paper went up to here, okay? I'm sorry, because I'm just kind of rushing. And I finished shading this all in, okay? All right, here we go. Okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is take our tracing paper, okay? And our tracing paper has to be a little bit bigger than our drawing, okay? So I got my tracing paper here. So what I will do is I am going to now take this, and the only reason why we're taping this down is just so that like while we're working on it, it's not moving around. So I'm gonna take this, and if you have like more space around your drawing, you can just tape the tracing paper directly to it, or I'm gonna just do this where I guess I'll just fold it behind because my paper was a lot smaller, and I'll just tape it here like this. We're just taping it down so it doesn't move around. And now on here, I'm going to draw my 1/4 inch grid. Guys, what's the time?
It's like
Oh, good,
1:55.
1:54. Okay, good. We got time. So sharpen my pencil one more time. Voila, look at this. So good. I have a pencil sharpener that's like attached to my desk. I know I've said that a million times. I'm really proud of it. Okay, a 1/4 inch grid. Anna, don't just smile at me, laughing at me. Okay, whatever size your drawing is, remember, we don't want to be smaller than 5 by 7. So this is 5 by 7, only because, you know, the drawing will be too small. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm lining it up against here because this is a little bit uneven for me. So I'm starting with this edge, and every 1/4 inch, I am making a mark. And I'm basically making this grid, which is where my halftone is going to live. Okay, I'm making a 1/4 inch mark here. So if you do 1/2 inch, you know, it'll still work. It'll just not be as detailed. I'm measuring 1/2 inch on the bottom here as well, because I don't want my lines to go crooked. So for Discovery Task 10, I want everyone to just do the classic halftone on the grid, the circles on the grid, okay? Once you understand this concept, you can apply the halftone to your next project. So now I'm going to use both lines, drawing the grid, working as quickly as I can. Okay, and I want my pencil marks to not be too dark. I can go back and erase it afterwards because my final marks that I'm keeping are going to be in Sharpie, but just in case. All right, so let's just say for time's sake, I made my grid all the way across. I just want to save a little time for you guys. I'm going to do the same thing. I have to now make my horizontal line. So every quarter of an inch, I'm aligning it at the top. I'm making a mark. Okay. The 4-inch. Let me just keep going all the way to the bottom of my image here because I'm doing the full image. Okay. So I'll go all the way to 9 and I will do the same thing here. Okay, and then I am going to be putting all my lines in eventually, but just again, just to like facilitate this and make this go a little bit faster, I'm gonna just skip to the middle here. And then I'll go back, I'll finish it. I promise I'll finish it and I'll show you. Oops, don't rush guys, don't rush like I did because I made a line in a silly place, but it's okay. I'll erase it and go back to it. And I'm gonna do this part. Okay, ready? Say, let's say I put the grid everywhere. Here's how the halftone works. Sharpie, please let it be working because these Sharpies are really old. And basically where I see it's super dark, I'm gonna have to make a decision and think about how big does my dot get. This was a super dark area and I do wanna be able to flip over and see my image and decide, is that dot gonna be small or is that gonna be and as my dot gets smaller, basically it's saying, and your dot is in the center of the box, okay? Don't fudge it and move your box over. You can't cheat like that. Okay. You guys see it starting to form? Not yet. You need a little bit more time. Let's see. Do you see the face forming? So that's how it works. Okay. And I kind of ran out of grid space, so I would go back and you know, while we were doing this, it's like you would definitely have to adjust. Like you can go back and forth and be like, oh, why isn't it reading well? Then you would have to like definitely go back and adjust like the grids that you have. So how much time, guys? How much time do I have? What's the time, kids?
It's 2:04 right now.
2:04.
Okay, good. Okay. So people who don't have tracing paper, this was a question, right? I'll do a demonstration of it and post that also, but listen to me carefully in words what that means. Basically, because you don't have tracing paper where you can directly make a grid and work directly on here, you're gonna have to make two drawings side by side. Okay, so that means that you're gonna have to make a grid on here and then make a grid on Bristol paper. And you're going to, you know how in SP1 class, you guys made your chuck close pieces where they got bigger? You could make a bigger. You didn't do that in SP1 class? Come on, come on, come on. Ready? It was like this. You would label it like A, B, C, D, like A, B, C, D. I did A, B, C, D, E, D. F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U. So you would label one-way alphabet and then one-way numbers. Do you remember doing that? And then you would do the same thing here. So I would have to make the same exact grid on here on my drawing. So the grid that I just made there, I would have to make and label it the same way, except so I'm redrawing it twice. I'm redrawing it a second time on a different grid, except instead of the shading, I'm translating it as a dot. Does that make sense? I will do a demo and I will put it on I will post the video for it. Okay, I'll do it and I'll post the demo so that you can get around not having tracing paper at home.
Also, I have some advice if you don't have tracing paper.
What's the advice?
You can also use a light box, and if you don't have a light box, I've done this before, you can get a flashlight and put it like under the two papers, you know what I mean? And
That's right, that's right. Okay, so if your
It's a little hard.
if your paper on top is like a little bit thinner, or you can at least show like computer paper, or you can show your light through it, it'll definitely work. You can even hold it up against a window with like sunlight coming through, or an iPhone. I've seen kids do that, but that's a great idea. That is also a great idea. So like this tracing paper, you know, is great because you can see through it, but as long as you can make a mechanism work in which you can see through the top paper, it'll act as your tracing paper layer. So you could definitely do that. Okay, but just in case, I'll do the demo for the other one also. Okay. So I would totally finish this grid off. I know that, sorry, my drawing was really messy. Even my lines are a little bit crooked, but I think it helps to explain what the technique is. And this is called the halftone technique. Basically, you guys can buy your screen print, but if you didn't have one, you could do this at home like this. Ta-da, okay. Oops, my dots went a little crazy. Any questions, guys? Because you're gonna have to start doing this. How long do you estimate that this will take for you guys? I don't, maybe a few hours. I know I rushed through it, and you know, because I understood what was happening, it only took me a little bit of time, but you know, I want you guys to take your time and do a good job on these. So maybe a few hours. Let's say 3 hours. You guys think you'll need more time? You see it, guys? Do you see it? This is the halftone print. Do you like this? You guys are like, maybe I don't like it. But anyway, too bad. You have to do it. It's so funny. No, that's not true, guys. Don't worry. Thank you. I know that you guys are going to do amazing jobs on these. And the reason why I gave you guys a break from doing a self-portrait is because, surprise, your final piece is going to be a self-portrait. And we'll talk about it. I know. Why does it have to be? Why do all our teachers make us do this? I'm sorry. It's just the way it is, okay? No. I'm going to make you do a self-portrait because it's ultimately not going to just be like a drawing. It's like about the self in different ways than just visual self-portrait. And you know yourself the best. That's why it's going to be about you. Okay. What happened? Someone crying? Someone laughing? Unstain this curriculum for clear skin?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Oh my God. Miss Park,
Yeah. What does that mean?
you're so good at this. We're all
Oh.
crying. Yeah.
Oh, stop, you guys. I mean, it's my job. It's kind of like my job is at stake. If, your teachers have to know how to do this. You know what I mean? Doesn't that make
What
sense?
are like facial proportions? Because I'm trying my best to like make it right, but it just
Okay.
looks so off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I always think the best way to draw anything is to forget like what it's supposed to be and just think about like the shape of things. So a lot of times I squint my eyes, like I squint at it and I just try to like break it down into like, if let's say we were doing cut paper, right? Especially for your museum projects, you're gonna have to just simplify it into like those big shapes first. So I try to draw those shapes and sizes first. But generally, if you want to think about facial proportions, there is a vertical axis that your nose goes on, right? So a vertical and then a horizontal. And basically, if your head is at a tilt, your head, if you think of it as like an oval or an egg shape, like so my head was at a tilt, this is kind of my vertical axis. And my eyes are generally going to go about the middle. You saw how I kind of built it up loosely with some of those lines, and you can review how I started my drawing again. And I don't put any kind of like definitive shapes anywhere until I know, oh, that's what the placement of it. And sometimes even as I'm shading it in, I'm still correcting my marks, and I don't really commit to any of my marks. And I go on the faith that all of the parts together as I'm working all around will kind of help the viewer to read the imagery. Shelley says you can look up general facial proportion, but it differs from person to person. I recommend staring at your face and observing its unique proportions and features in relation to each other. Absolutely. I mean, and this, I haven't done my own self-portrait drawing in like probably years, but it comes from years and years and years of being a high school student and a college student and like drawing myself so many times that like I kind of know the proportions. And my face, every time I draw it, it's like aging and it's different and it's, it looks, but I know that there are key things that part of my face. And so Shelley's recommendation is one of the best things, just through practice, just through drawing, and don't worry about each feature becoming exactly the right shape. Don't worry about any of that. Think of general shapes first. General shapes. How are we doing on time, guys? Oh my gosh, 1 minute. All right, so I'm gonna stop the video here because this was supposed to be a video, and it will be posted. I will post the finished image of this also.